You've probably heard of the prophecy of Gog and Magog. It's right there in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. And wow, is it one of the most famous and, let's be honest, confusing prophecies in the entire Bible. For centuries, people have been trying to figure out what this future invasion of Israel is all about, trying to map it onto current events. So what is really going on here? Let's dive in and unravel this thing.
Okay, so the most common take you hear is that this is a literal prediction of some massive end times war. You've almost certainly heard theories that try to identify Gog with Russia or some other modern superpower leading this huge coalition against Israel right before the end of the world. But does that interpretation really hold up when you look closely at what the text actually says?
Yeah, if you try to read this literally, you run into some big problems, like right away. Who exactly is this Gog guy? The text never really says. And why would these armies of the future be fighting with swords, shields, and bows? And are we really supposed to be able to map these ancient tribal names perfectly onto modern countries? It all gets really complicated really fast.
All of this kind of suggests we might be asking the wrong questions. What if we're looking at this all wrong? What if the focus isn't even on the human armies? The key to unlocking this whole prophecy is realizing it might be describing a battle against something else entirely, supernatural, cosmic evil. The real question isn't who Gog is, but what he represents. And the cool thing is, we don't have to guess. We don't need to look outside the Bible for the answers. The text of Ezekiel itself leaves this trail of cosmic, symbolic clues that point us straight to a supernatural interpretation. So let's play detective and follow the evidence. So our first clue is this really strange imagery. God says he's going to put hooks into the jaws of Gog to drag him into battle. Now, that phrasing isn't random. It's a major giveaway, and it's used elsewhere in the Bible in a very specific way that tells us a lot about Gog's real identity. So where does that hooks in the jaws language come from? Well, back in Ezekiel chapter 29, that exact same phrase is used to describe the Pharaoh of Egypt, who the text explicitly calls the Great Dragon. This imagery is tied directly to Leviathan, the ultimate symbol of cosmic chaos. By using this specific phrase for Gog, Ezekiel is linking him not just to some human king, but to this ultimate supernatural enemy of God. Okay, clue number 2 is found in the list of Gog's allies. People spend so much time and energy trying to pinpoint these nations on a modern map, but that's missing the symbolic picture that Ezekiel is painting for us. The list of allies just builds on this symbolic idea. You've got Persia from the east, Cush and Put from the south, and Gomer and Beth Togarmah from the north and west. See what's happening? This isn't a specific military alliance. It's a literary way of showing a universal, worldwide opposition. It's a symbolic gathering from, you guessed it, the four corners of the earth. So if Gog represents this ultimate cosmic enemy, and his army is a symbol for universal evil, the next question is obvious. What happens to them after they're defeated? Where do they go? Well, the answer to that is our biggest clue yet. The text tells us that Gog and his hordes will be buried in a place called the Valley of the Travelers. Now, that might just sound like a geographical location, a spot on a map. But the name in Hebrew, oh, that reveals something much, much deeper. See, the original Hebrew word here is oberim, which literally means the ones who have passed over. In the ancient world, this was a term for the spirits of the dead, the Rephaim, who had crossed over into the netherworld. So this isn't just a graveyard, it's a powerful theological statement. Gog and his forces are being sent to the underworld, the realm of the dead. This makes it so clear. Obsessing over the logistics of, how could they possibly bury all those bodies completely misses the point. The prophecy isn't describing a cleanup problem. It's making a theological declaration about the final destination of supernatural evil. It's being sent back to the abyss where it belongs. And hey, if there was any doubt left, we actually have an inspired commentary on Ezekiel's prophecy right in the New Testament. That's right, the book of Revelation picks up these exact themes and tells us precisely who Gog and Magog represent in the final cosmic showdown. The parallels here are they're striking. You can't miss them. Revelation 20 explicitly names Gog and Magog as the forces that Satan gathers from, get this, the four corners of the earth for his final battle. And just like in Ezekiel, they're defeated by fire from heaven. The author of Revelation is making it crystal clear. He understands Ezekiel's prophecy to be about Satan's final war against God's people. The connection is just too direct to ignore. Now, some people argue this must be a different Gog and Magog battle, but that interpretation often comes from trying to protect a pre-built theological system. If we just let the Bible interpret itself, the conclusion is pretty clear. Revelation is using Ezekiel's prophecy to paint a picture of the ultimate, final defeat of Satan. But hold on, here's where it gets even more fascinating. It turns out the author of Revelation also uses imagery from Ezekiel 39, specifically the part about birds feasting on the flesh of the defeated army, to describe the Battle of Armageddon way back in Revelation chapter 19. So the same Old Testament prophecy is being used as source material for the battle in chapter 19 and the final battle in chapter 20. So what is going on here? And that question leads us to the ultimate takeaway from all this. Instead of getting lost in the weeds trying to create a perfect step-by-step timeline of the future, we need to zoom out and focus on the overarching message this prophecy is trying to tell us. So how do we solve this puzzle of Ezekiel's imagery popping up in both Revelation 19 and 20? Well, there are two main ways people look at it. The recapitulation view says that chapters 19 and 20 are actually describing the same final event, just from different angles. Then there's the linear view, which sees them as two separate battles, with the author just drawing from the same prophetic well for both. And within Christian theology, you know what? Both are considered totally valid ways to read. But here's the thing, and this is so important. Debating which of these end times timelines is the right one can make us miss the forest for the trees. The ultimate message of Ezekiel's prophecy is so much more powerful than any single system. It's not a secret code for predicting headlines.
Ultimately, Gog is a stand-in for Satan. The Battle of Gog and Magog, whether you're reading it in Ezekiel or in Revelation, is a theological picture. It's a picture of evil's final, desperate attempt to overthrow God and its absolute, total failure. This was never a prophecy about a specific human war. It's a promise of God's assured cosmic victory.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When we stop trying to read prophecy like it's a newspaper printed in advance, and we start reading it as a profound declaration of theological truth, how does that change everything? It shifts our focus away from anxiety about the future and toward total confidence in the ultimate outcome. And that right there, that might be the most important takeaway of all.